So a lot of people ask me what I thought about the dead poets, about the tortured dead, the evil, the tortured lovers poets, the Mariner's apartment complex, the dead poet, the tortured poets department, the new album by Taylor Swift. I'm so sorry, I swear this is a serious video. Did I go to an album release party where hundreds of fans listened to the album the day before it came out and watched as the lyrics were projected onto the side of a building? Yes. Have I been a fan of Taylor Swift since her hair looked like this? Also yes. Do I have complicated feelings about blindly praising one of the wealthiest people in the world? Yes. Yes, I do. I have a complicated relationship with Taylor Swift. On one hand, I find her confessional songwriting very relatable, and on the other hand, I have trouble relating to the fact that she is quite obviously a billionaire. I am a fan of Taylor Swift's, but I don't identify as a Swiftie because, like I said, I can't blindly praise every single thing that she does. But if you want to examine the intersection between making personal art for profit and pre-existing extreme wealth, keep watching. This is Taylor Swift, a case study in the bleeding heart billionaire. Before we get into the dirt, I want to call out two things I noticed in the making of this video. One, that there is a truly staggering amount of information on the internet about Taylor Swift, and I didn't have time to fully process, research, and cover everything. This is mostly stuff that I've picked up and remembered during my time as a fan of Taylor Swift. The second thing I want to point out is that she is an incredibly hard worker. When I was going through the clips from the Eras tour, I was truly in awe of her performances, and I can't believe she does this night after night all over the world. I do want to say that based on the research I did do for this video, I think it's really incredible the way that Taylor puts herself on the line and gives a voice to so many people with emotions, and how incredibly validating it is that we put her there because we care about artists who sing about feelings. We care about feelings, and I think that's really cool. Okay, back to the video. Taylor Swift writes insanely relatable lyrics. Lyrics like, "I'm so depressed I act like it's my birthday every day," or "Now I'm down bad crying at the gym." We can all relate to feeling like that. Even though I don't have a private jet or a Tribeca loft, I do cry so much and I am so productive. The primary theme Taylor Swift explores in her music is romantic love. Her 2008 song Love Story is her biggest hit to date and kind of prophetic for the rest of her career. Taylor Swift tells love stories. She writes other stuff too, but her most successful songs are about finding love, losing love, wanting love, and having love. When people ask me who her different songs are they about Joe Alwyn or Maddie Healy, I always answer, they're about her. They're all about her. Taylor does an excellent job writing songs that package real emotions with sprinkles of the high life. She uses references like The House by the Heath or The Timeshare in Destin. She's great at building worlds so vivid that fans fall over themselves to construct her secret world and even create fan fictions about her private life, which she embraces. She's telling a collaborative story with her audience, and I think that's one of the reasons she's stayed so successful. One of the things that keeps me coming back to Taylor's music is that it's nice to be emotionally validated by somebody rich and famous. One of the easiest ways to write brutally honest material is to focus on your own experience. But the experience of your own experience is tricky when your own experience is pretty different from your fans. She has a heavily controlled media image, one with enough privacy to cause mystery and enough mystery to cause speculation. That's by design, but it's important to recognize part of the reason she's able to maintain these narratives is because she can protect her personal life with money. She has resources like private properties, private jets, security, relationships with the media, publicists, lawyers, lots of lawyers.
Get a good lawyer.
I trust the authenticity of Taylor's lyrics more than I trust the press coverage of her life, but I can't deny that she has a lot of influence over how the press covers her as well. You might be asking yourself, what, more so than other celebrities? And the answer is yes. After becoming what Taylor Swift self-described as a national lightning rod for slut-shaming, she became very stringent about how she controls information and details about her life. Joe Alwyn is a very private person, and he and Taylor were able to maintain their relationship for 6 years while producing only a handful of photos. That's power. I do personally think that Taylor Swift is way too overexposed, and I wish the media would leave her alone so that I could just have my peace and believe that she is just an average gal just like us who enjoys getting a coffee and going to the park. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in anymore. It is hard to maintain relatability the more famous and out of touch you get. When I was listening to this album with all these fans, I felt like I had to know so much of the lore and the backstory and the Easter eggs and all of this other stuff in order to enjoy the music, and I kind of just wanted to enjoy the music. But even the music was all over the place. This album had so many lyrics, and 17 to 30 songs is too many for me to digest within one album release cycle from a single artist. I don't care what people say, that's like a boxed set. That's so many songs. To me, this album sounded like nobody gave Taylor any notes, and the studio just let her do whatever she wanted, and it showed. This is totally just my opinion. I know a lot of people really loved this album, and if you loved it, that's great. I'm so happy for you. I know a lot of people are like, the more Taylor, the better. But as for me, it just seemed like this album was more of like her diary that I was listening to, and that she didn't really write the songs for anyone other than herself, which again is fine. It just didn't really draw me to the music. To me, this album felt different from Folklore or Evermore or even Midnights in that it seemed like it could really only be about Taylor. And for the first time since Lover, I didn't feel like I was listening to songs that could have been written by one of my friends. I felt like I was listening to songs written by a billionaire. I guess I'm trying to say that the album felt self-indulgent, kind of like when Taylor throws her arms up in the air at concerts and expects everybody to cheer for her. It makes you wonder, do we really need her as badly as she needs us? Taylor Swift does strike me as someone who needs a lot of external validation, and she gets it. This may not come as a shock to you, but Taylor Swift is rich. Time magazine named her the Person of the Year in 2023 for having the highest grossing concert tour of all time. Forbes values Taylor Swift's net worth at $1.1 billion, making her a bona fide billionaire. She owns 8 homes valued at $150 million total. Now, I do want to keep something in check. Net worth and tour revenue typically apply to Taylor Swift the brand, which is different from Taylor Swift the individual. Taylor Swift the brand includes a team of people including managers, stylists, lawyers, financial advisors, security, assistants, publicists, not to mention tour managers, backup dancers, road crews, and a bunch of other production staff that just applies when Taylor Swift goes on tour. Taylor Swift the brand pays many people, but Taylor is chief among them. But the real estate, that's all Taylor Swift the individual. And even though we love her as a singer, Forbes and Time aren't interested in her artistry. They're interested in her as a business person. Even before she was born, her family was invested in her success as a business person. She said, "My mom thought it was cool that if you got a business card that said Taylor, you wouldn't know if it was a guy or a girl," she told Rolling Stone in 2009, explaining that they, her parents, thought an androgynous name could help reduce any potential discrimination in the corporate world. "She wanted me to be a business person in the business world." Her father, Scott Swift, was a stockbroker who owned the Christmas tree farm Taylor Swift was raised on. But I think it would be naive to think that that Christmas tree farm was their only property. Scott Swift was a shareholder in Big Machine Records, the small independent country music label that produced Taylor's first 6 albums. Taylor Swift's career basically built Big Machine, and when she felt entrapped by some of their terms, she had the power to walk away. If autonomy were so important to Taylor Swift, she could have gone independent after leaving her label, like artists like Frank Ocean or Tinashe. But that would require more business expenses, and that would also cause her to lose access to privileges that come from being on a major label. Things like Grammys campaigning, collaborations with label mates, and invites to marvelous parties. Taylor loves Grammys.
Grammys.
My Grammys.
Taylor is also highly litigious and has even gone so far as to trademark lyrics and sue fans for creating unauthorized merch. I have always found it a bit interesting that Taylor doesn't have like a signature charity. She gives to various charities like the African Parks Foundation or the New York Public Schools, but she doesn't have any consistent causes like Miley Cyrus with the Happy Hippie Foundation for homeless youth or Olivia Rodrigo's Fund for Good to support women's rights. I learned she actually did pledge $4 million to open the Taylor Swift Music Education Center at the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum, but as far as I could tell, that was like a one-time thing. But that's not nothing, that's pretty cool. I personally think she could really vibe with something that brings like music education into schools, or maybe like a service that connects women to resources to help them learn songwriting, or like provides therapy, even though she doesn't believe in therapy because she thinks her mom, Who's not licensed is her therapist. Taylor Swift is most known for giving when she randomly showers fans, friends, and even her road crews with money and gifts. She's opted into these random acts of giving over picking a cause. I think this gives the illusion of generosity without tying her to anything political. Taylor was accused of being a secret conservative because she didn't endorse either candidate in the 2016 US presidential election. To which I say, she loves money. Of course she supports policies that support the rich. Of course she stood to gain from Trump's anti-labor, pro-business policies. She's a billionaire, just like him. After the 2016 election, she told The Guardian all the dirtiest tricks in the book were used and it worked. The Trump administration is gaslighting the American public into being like, if you hate the president, you hate America. We're a democracy, at least we're supposed to be, where you're allowed to disagree, dissent, debate. I really think that he thinks this is an autocracy, which I thought was a really smart, eloquent, and accurate way of putting things. But I also think the line, all the dirtiest tricks in the book were used and it worked, implies that Taylor has the book with all the dirty tricks in it. Taylor has shown time and time again that her political beliefs are not worth losing fans over. But to me, it seems like a pretty old school way to go about your business, especially since Olivia Rodrigo is literally handing out concerts at her concerts. All this is to say, she's rich, she likes being rich, and there's something about the way that she's rich that just rubs me the wrong way when I listen to her music sometimes. Now, there's a both and here as well because Taylor wants to protect her money, but her money also protects her. Despite an abundance of wealth and resources, many people, billionaires included, operate from a scarcity mindset, which means you're afraid that what you have will be taken away and you'll never get it back. A scarcity mindset is a real and useful survival instinct for a lot of people, mostly low-income people who are at risk of being taken advantage of because someone is always trying to take something away from them, typically their time, labor, or even money. I think Taylor is operating from a scarcity mindset because she's afraid that if she takes a career move like going independent instead of going with the biggest record label in the world, she will lose access to the status of lifestyle she's enjoyed since she was a teenager. And I also think it's worth mentioning that people are trying to take something away from her. They're trying to take her privacy. The issue of why the media is so obsessed with Taylor Swift is a whole other thing, but it is ultimately an issue of supply and demand. Fans demand stories about Taylor, and that invades her privacy. And so she's constructed an elaborate glass lattice cage to keep fans busy while she can protect her true self. One of the things that was most shocking to me about learning about the breakup of the Spice Girls or the death of Princess Diana is that when they left their label, or the British royal family, they lost access to the security that was protecting them from the press. In the case of Princess Diana, it cost her her life. And that is a scary reality for a pop star who sings about feelings to have to deal with. So again, it's a both and. She does need to be kind of rich just to protect herself. But in my opinion, she does not need 8 houses. I just don't think you need 8 houses. Have one house and then just stay at the plaza. Taylor Swift stays in her lane, and that lane is songwriting. Should we hold that against her? Probably not. But then maybe we also shouldn't be naming her the Time Person of the Year for having a tour that made so much money because it extorted fans through Ticketmaster. I love Taylor's brand of feminine vulnerability and open-hearted emotion, but I can't deny that there is a team of old-school conservative dudes propelling her forward and profiting off her success. So what's a fan to do? Just accept that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism? Take a break from an artist I once really loved? Or make a YouTube video and force you all to process this with me? I think we know which one it is. I think it's the third one. Emotional connection is ultimately the middle ground where I'm able to enjoy Taylor's music. Despite access to every material comfort in the universe, Taylor wants to find true love, because that's what we all really want. Even when we pile billions of dollars on top of people, we all have basically the same emotions, unless you're a sociopath or a narcissist, and that's its whole other bag of worms. Taylor Swift is a kaleidoscope of both and. Both Just a Girl and Times Person of the Year. Both a homeowner and a hopeless romantic. Both someone who will never know who you are and someone whose music knows exactly who you are. She is both a billionaire and a bleeding heart. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here and you enjoyed this video, share it with somebody else who has mixed feelings about Taylor Swift. Like, subscribe, stick around for another video, but even if you don't do any of that stuff, thanks so much for hanging out. What did you think of Tortured Poets? Where does it rank on your list of favorite Taylor Swift albums? Were there any songs that really connected with you? Let me know in the comments.